and we were fighting at each other, and then he like, I was going at him, I guess hitting him, and then he pushed me into the kid stuff, and then I went ballistic because he pushed me so hard, and then I fought back, and then we were just fighting.
This is one of those situations that just goes from bad to worse. Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, just a quick note that my tea, Raspberry Elderflower Rosé, is back on the website. I know that it's been out of stock for a hot minute and a lot of people missed it, but it's back now. And I finally got my boxes right, so they might look a little different from here on out, but I love these ones. They feel nice. They're soft touch. Anyway, if you want to get yourself a box of Raspberry Elderflower Rosé or really any of my other teas, go to the link in the description box. They're all very nice, I promise. All right, baby birds, when I tell you that this situation is insane, I mean it is documentary style, 15 levels of psycho insane, and I need you to believe me. I have to admit that I've never been on this side of the e-drama. I've never been across this community of e-drama. I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on Mum Talk, I don't do the doom scrolling. So everything associated with this bachelorette situation is new to me, and all of it is wild. What are we doing? So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking, Sydney, I don't care about The Bachelorette, I would never watch this. Genuinely same. But if you're capable of putting aside what the show is and what it's about, I think this situation matters because, number one, we really have to question the kind of people that we go ahead and make famous and then give a bunch of money to. I think it matters because it speaks to how far media entities will let things go before they pull the plug, and there's also a conversation here to be had about how society in general responds to men being abused. And I mean, of course, if you like to observe other people's lives with your mouth agape, wondering how they function alongside the rest of us, then this is the video for you. So I'm sure that some of you, and I say some because I'm assuming that the vast majority of you don't follow this stuff either. So I'm assuming that some of you have heard about the recent drama surrounding the upcoming show The Bachelorette, starring a woman called Taylor Frankie Paul, who is 31 but doesn't look 31. I honestly don't know what age I was expecting, but it wasn't that. Anyway, on March 19, 2026, ABC announced that it had cancelled Paul's season of The Bachelorette, which was set to air on March 22nd, 2026, so like a couple days from now. This announcement came after two main events, both involving domestic schmielence, if you know what I mean. The first was news that broke in mid-ish March that confirmed Draper City Police Department in Utah were pursuing an open domestic assault investigation involving Taylor Frankie Paul and her ex-baby daddy Dakota Mortensen, with whom she has a small baby boy. Paul reportedly attacked Mortensen, choking him, scratching his neck, and slamming his phone against a wall. She also apparently called him hundreds of times at one point, but I'm not sure if that's part of these recent allegations or at what point she did this, but this is a screenshot of his phone with the hundreds of calls. This is okay. I'm not going to lie, guys. This is not very hinged behavior. Do not do stuff like this. Paul also alleges that Mortensen got physical with her during a recent car trip that resulted in police being called. So that was the first catalyst event. The second catalyst event was a 2023 video resurfacing that showed Paul throwing chairs at Mortensen during a DV incident. I don't think I can show you that video here on YouTube for obvious reasons, but the video basically has Paul first punching and kicking Mortensen while he tries to, I guess, reason with her, and then she starts picking up and throwing metal bar stools at him. Mortensen can be heard in the video saying, "Taylor, your daughter is right here," because her child is sat off to the side of the screen, I guess, while all of this is going down. So not good, not very cash money behavior. Like I said, do not do stuff like this, guys, to anybody. If you're going to throw things at your loved ones, throw doves or rose petals. Neither of those things are readily available. Just don't throw things at people, maybe. Now, in response to this, a spokesperson for Taylor Frankie Paul said that the video in question omits context. okay? And said that releasing an old video on the pair's son's birthday is a reprehensible attempt to distract from Mortenson's own behavior. Paul's spokesperson also told Page Six that after suffering mental and physical abuse for years, Paul is finally going to face her accuser, who is Mortenson, and is taking steps to ensure that she and her family are protected from any further harm. After watching a lot of these two people, I feel like my natural inclination here is to definitely raise an eyebrow about the lack of accountability being taken on Taylor Frankie Paul's behalf. Because, you know, this is a woman who clearly has issues. I do have to admit that I have my own issues as well. I'm sure that all of you do too. But a lot of mine revolve around sleep and not getting enough sleep, which is why today's video is sponsored by Beam. Kids, it's been a long night of editing for little old me, and I want to wind down for the night. I've been staring at a screen, which means that my brain is probably gonna have trouble just shutting off. Now, I could always turn to chemicals like NyQuil or doing a magical dance outside until I'm tired, but I will always choose Dream Sleep Hot Chocolate, because as you guys know, they are basically one of my favorite sponsors on this channel, and I will never stop telling you how much I love them. Why, Sydney? Why is it your favorite? Because I am a highly strung person who finds sleep reasonably elusive, and almost every night I either take the Dream Sleep capsules or I make Dream Sleep Hot Chocolate to drink. And anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour after doing so, I get sleepy, I go to sleep, and I stay asleep. Which is quite hard for a person whose brain decides it is imperative to think of every embarrassing thing I've ever done at 2 o'clock in the morning. There are so many products on the market that promise you 1,000,001 things. Dream promises you one, and it delivers. You get good sleep, and you don't wake up feeling groggy and disgusting. It has great ingredients like magnesium, L-theanine, reishi, and I love that you also get one of these cute little frothers in your little package. I love this thing. So if you are tired of not getting a good night's sleep, waking up in the middle of the night, waking up feeling exhausted in the morning, then Dream absolutely is the product for you. And in honor of March being Sleep Awareness Month, get up to 40% using my link, which is in the description box, and using code SydneyW for a limited time. So click the link in the description box or go to shopbeam.com/SydneyW for up to 40% off your order today. That said, on a statistical front, a lot of relationships where DV is present like this are typically violent in both directions, meaning that it is entirely possible that Paul's claims are true and she is also a victim of violence herself. But it's also entirely possible that this is mostly one-sided and many of Mortenson's actions are simply evasive or defensive. Either way, we will never know, but in 2023, Paul was charged with aggravated assault, 2 counts of domestic violence in the presence of a child, and child abuse with injury and criminal mischief, which she inevitably pled down in court, and I'm pretty sure right now she's still on probation. We also have some fun body cam footage where Paul is very obviously drunk, crying, and trying to explain how all of this came to pass.
And we were fighting at each other, and then I was going at him, I guess hitting him, and then he pushed me into the kids' stuff, and then I went ballistic because he pushed me so hard, and then I fought back, and then we were just fighting, and I just want him out.
Where did the kids go?
My daughter's right there, and then my son's up sleeping because we had my family member that was babysitting.
I think her reaction is super interesting when it's juxtaposed next to Mortenson, who's basically saying, I have been trying to leave. She won't let me leave. I just want to leave.
All I've been trying to do for the last hour and a half is to leave. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm just being bombarded, stealing my keys. She's jumping on my truck, slamming my doors. Like, I think my truck
is that your white truck?
Yeah, I think my truck doors broke. Like, she's on top of my truck jumping. Like, dude, I can't even believe what just happened.
Worth noting as well that, as of recently, Dakota Mortenson has filed a restraining order against Paul, so this whole thing is obviously just spiraling out of control, and these two together is just, it's just toxic. It's a toxic hot mess with not a lot of hot in there. Now, chickadees, of course, there are a few different angles to this situation. Of course, there's the DV side of this, which we're not going to get into too deeply in this video because I don't have enough information. I feel like there's a lot to unpack. Like I said at the start of this video, you also have the why do we elevate these people side of things. Then there's the why did Disney elevate this person side of things, and why have they continued to elevate her? And I want to focus on that last point because I think it's extremely interesting, and it's just so emblematic of what makes money in the age of our Lord 2026. For anyone on the outside looking in, it seems that Disney, who owns ABC and therefore The Bachelorette show, realized they'd cast an insane person who was going to be horrible for their brand and their ratings, and then just decided to pull the plug. But that doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what's actually going on here. And I am of the opinion that Disney absolutely knew, down to the freaking ground, who this woman was and everything about her. They were absolutely prepared to run this season until this new video dropped, or this old new video dropped, and they deliberately picked someone as unhinged as Taylor Frankie Paul in order to try to do something different with this season, and it has simply backfired spectacularly. And now they realize that losing $100 million on this show, which is what they think they're going to lose, is less than the amount it would cost them in sponsorships and advertising and the damage done to their brand if they ran this season, that's crazy. So I personally think, with no real proof other than just the fact that I have eyeballs, the reason that they decided to dump Taylor Frankie Paul was not because she abused her ex-boyfriend and is clearly a deeply disturbed woman, but because they couldn't find a way to twist these new situations to fit whatever narrative they'd woven into the show for her. I don't consume a ton of reality TV, if I'm being honest, because realistically there's only so much degeneracy that I can take, but I think it's pretty evident at this point that producers like to build stories and perspectives around specific people on these shows. And I think for Paul, there was probably going to be some sort of redemption arc. You know, she's this woman who's had some crappy relationships, she's done things she shouldn't have done, she's acted in ways that are not very mom-in. You know, she's trying to take responsibility for herself and be a better person. And then we all clap. And I don't feel like I'm talking out of my butt here, because I feel like this is alluded to in some of the snippets that The Bachelorette show has posted about The Bachelorette show.
A lot of them didn't know necessarily my exact story coming into this, but I think me kind of opening up the books of like, I'll be honest with you, and I don't have a pretty past, and I think it makes them feel like, okay, maybe I can tell you all of my past and you're not going to judge me. And true, I won't.
I think Paul being on this improvement streak would have been a primary factor, like a primary talking point in the show. And I think that's further evidenced by one of the bachelors making an Instagram story where he basically said that he's sending prayers to Taylor because this was supposed to be her moment and her moment got blocked.
Yo, good morning everybody. In light of everything that's happened, I'm just sending out prayers to Taylor, because that was her moment and her moment was blocked. So all we can do right now is just be hopeful, and I'm headed off to run to watch the sunrise.
Bro, her moment wasn't blocked. She tried to strangle her ex-boyfriend with a chain. What can I say? Maybe you're into that, but your average person is not. Paul has also made these types of comments in interviews in the lead up to the show airing, where she said that she's got an ugly past, that she's learning, and blah, 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 blah. And we'll come back to this, so I want you to keep it in your brain. And so, of course, it's pretty self-evident that Disney knew exactly who this woman was when they hired her for this role. A lot of this stuff is scripted, let's remember, and a lot of these interviews are coached, but more importantly, Disney owns Hulu, the platform that hosts the show The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, where Taylor Frankie Paul is a primary cast member, and basically, this is how she rose to fame. I mean, yeah, like she started off with a decently huge platform on TikTok, but this is how she ended up with her show. Because she's a crazy person. Again, I had no idea about any of this, and the more that I learn, the more that I wish that I could unlearn. You know? But anyway, the show launched in 2024 with a 5th season currently in production, although that production has actually been paused since all of this information and all of this drama has happened again. I also have been reading that a bunch of the other women who are on the show alongside Paul are just very sick of her behavior and have been distancing themselves from her, and they're actually the ones who put production on pause in the first place. Which frankly sounds very believable. I have to imagine these women are just like, Taylor, shut up. Anyway, I guess this show was set in motion because in 2022, Paul went viral on TikTok after confessing publicly that she and her husband, Tate Paul, had been doing what they call soft swinging within their Mormon community, which they call mum talk. There's a lot going on here. Soft swinging, I didn't realize this was a thing, but apparently it's a form of consensual non-monogamy where couples participate in activities like making out, group kissing games, cucking. Okay. I did not know you Mormons were being naughty behind